Namaste friends, welcome to today's class. My name is Candice and today I have a deep stretching yoga for tight shoulders and hips. This is a very problematic place for most people on the planet, and I'm sure it has something to do with our modern lives of sitting a lot at desks in front of computers and texting and perhaps even lying in bed looking at our phones for hours on end. And we've got to counteract all of that and open up for good posture and just to help relieve stress and help us feel like a normal human being again. So I hope you enjoy. Everybody is welcome to take part, but if you are more beginner, this probably isn't the best class for you, as the stretches are going to be really deep, perhaps not even very accessible for you, but I will offer at least 2 modifications or variations of some of the postures that may be a little too challenging for someone who's not of a slightly more intermediate level. So I would still call this an all levels class because I will try to make it accessible, but please just be aware that you need to listen to your body. If anything feels too intense, too painful, pull out of it and take a little bit more of a beginner variation, perhaps a variation that I offer before we go into the deeper expression of the pose. So we're going to begin. Starting off in a comfortable seated position today, we're going to extend our arms, lock the elbows, draw the shoulders back and down. Drop your head over towards the left, and I recommend you close your eyes. And start to engage your Ujjayi breath if you understand that, or just a nice deep inhale and exhale in and out of the nose. Continue this throughout the class. This is getting deep into this lovely part of your shoulder and all the way down your neck, perhaps even all the way into the fingertips if you're very, very tight. And then follow your breath, exhale as your chin comes towards your chest. Inhale over to the other side. Take it nice and slow and in your own time. Just finding some neck rolls. Finding 2 more. Coming over to the left, just release the left hand onto your knee and extend the right arm out long in front, out to the side. Engage the fingertips, spread them really wide and point them up towards the sky. This is taking the stretch all the way through to the fingertips, into the palm. Counteracting any time spent on your phone or at the computer. And now start to point the fingertips down towards the ground and then point them to the sky, just a couple of times. One more. Release, give that hand a little shake. We're going to take it to the other side. Ooh, it's quite intense. Let's take that right hand to the knee, drop the left to the side, drop the head to the side, extend your left hand out to the side, spread your fingertips facing the sky. Feel into the stretch, close your eyes, couple of deep breaths. Now point the fingertips down towards the floor, just keeping your head where it is, and then raise them to the sky. One more down to the ground, raise them to the sky, and release, give that hand a little shake. Ooh, Coming onto all fours, we're going to take some cat-cows just to release the spine and start to move into the hips. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Inhale, drop the belly, look up. Exhale, arch, tucking the chin and the tailbone. 2 more, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, drop the belly. And exhale, tuck the chin and the tailbone. Come back to center. We're going to extend this left leg out to the side and we're going to raise the right arm up to the sky. You're already going to feel a stretch inside that left thigh. So start to roll your right wrist out, feeling into that stretch on the left leg. And then we're going to thread the needle. So we're going to take our arm underneath the right. You can just keep your left hand planted on the ground, take it to your bum, or try to interlace it into your right thigh. If you can take a grip of these left toes with your right fingers, peace fingers, then feel free to do that into the twist. If that's inaccessible, that's okay. Just keep your hand wherever it feels comfortable. Hug your belly button back. Breathing into the stretch. And release, plant your left hand on the ground. Come on up, raise the right arm up to the sky. Feeling that inner thigh stretch on the left once again. And then press all the way up. Take your left arm down the left leg, taking a side body stretch over to the left. And release. Come back into your tabletop, extending that right leg out to the side this time. And inhale, raise this left arm up to the sky, feeling that inner right thigh stretch. Let's thread the needle, taking that left arm underneath the right. Maybe taking a grip of the big toe with your peace fingers and planting that left arm, that right hand, either on the bum, on the ground, or find an interlace into the left thigh. I don't know my left from my right, sorry everybody. Taking some deep breaths. And release, plant this right hand down, raise the left arm back to the sky, look up. Draw yourself up, taking the right hand down the right leg, taking the left arm over to the right for a side body stretch. And release. Coming back into your tabletop, we're going to send our hips up and back to downward facing dog. So draw your belly button towards your thighs, send your bum to the sky. Don't worry if your knees have to be bent and if your heels need to be raised. The important thing is to hug your belly back, look between your legs and press out of the shoulders, pulling them apart. Taking some deep breaths here in our down dog. Raise your left leg to the sky, open the hip by bending the knee, sending the knee towards the sky. Hug your belly button back and we're going to find some circles. So circle the knee out a couple of times in one direction. And then circle in the opposite direction. Now point the toes up towards the sky for your three-legged dog. Look between your hands, come up onto your right tippy toes. And we're going to draw this left knee towards the left elbow. Step it wide, wider than your hand, into your lizard pose. Stretching into the right psoas muscle and getting deep into the left hip flexors. You can stay up on the palms just like this. If you're more flexible and you want to get deeper, you can come down onto your forearms. And getting deeper into that hip flexor, you can keep the back knee off the ground, or you can place it down onto the ground. It just depends if you want it to be more active or a more restful pose. It can be quite intense, so let's breathe deep into this pose. Release the back knee down and everybody press up onto your palms. We're going to step our back foot to the outside edge of our right palm. Send your hips down for your yogi squat. Keep your spine nice and long, and you can always sit your bum onto a block if this is inaccessible. Use your elbows to press your knees apart. You can find a little movement rocking from side to side if that feels good. To get even deeper into the stretch, for those who would like to, plant your hands in front of you wider than your shoulders and start to lean forwards, pressing your knees even further apart. Maybe even finding a little movement. I'll face you so you can see what this looks like. It's almost as if you're going to come into a really wide-armed crow pose. We're just finding some movement, feeling into those hip flexors. It can be quite intense. You may even release a little emotion here, and that's okay. You can even play around with perhaps even lifting your feet off the ground, stretching even deeper. So make this pose yours, whatever you want to do. I'm going to move back to the side for our next position. So if you're in yogi squat, that's great, stay there. Those who are in the more intense position, come up into your yogi squat. We're going to plant our hands shoulder distance, step our right foot back into our lizard with our left foot still forward. Find a little movement, rocking forwards and back. And we're going to step back for our downward facing dog. Walk your feet out for a moment, walking through those hamstrings. Take a couple of breaths in your down dog. Okay, we're going to raise the right leg to the sky, open the hip by bending through the knee. Point the knee up towards the sky and try to keep your shoulders square so they're staying as they were. We're going to find 3 rolls in one direction. Rotate in the opposite direction. Coming back into your three-legged down dog. Look between your hands, come up onto your left tippy toes and draw this right knee to your right elbow. Step forwards into your lizard pose. You can always raise your hands up onto blocks if this is not very comfortable, or you can keep your palms planted on the ground. Remember, if you want it to be more active, keep the back knee lifted. If you want it to be passive and more relaxing, lower the back knee down to the ground. Those who have the flexibility and want to go a little deeper, you can always bring your forearms down to the ground. Okay, if your forearms were down, come back up onto the palms. Step your back foot to the outside edge of your left fingertips and send your hips down for your yogi squat, spine nice and long. Pressing your knees open with your elbows. Those who want to go deeper, lean forwards, press your knees a little further open. Maybe even finding a little movement side to side. And everybody, let's take a seat onto our bum. Place our feet hip distance apart. Take your hands at least a hand's distance away from your bum with your fingertips facing towards your feet. Beginners, I'm going to show you your variation before we do reverse tabletop. Press your chest forwards, bend into the elbows, feeling that stretch. This may be intense enough, and that's where you can stay. Those who want to come up into reverse tabletop, raise your hips to the sky, allow your head to fall back. Becoming a nice deep stretch into the shoulders, squeeze your glutes, hug your core back. Everybody, wherever you are, 2 deep breaths together here. And slowly, if you're in reverse tabletop, lower your bum down first and then raise your head last. Coming on forwards, we're going to push ourselves back into our yogi squat. So make your way there as gracefully or disgracefully as you can. It's totally fine. It doesn't have to look good. It just has to feel good. And then we're going to raise our bum to the sky, plant your hands and turn your heels out, your big toes in, coming in for a wide-legged forward fold. You can always heel toe your legs a little further apart. Take a grip of your big toes with your peace fingers if you're flexible and start to bend down. For the yogis who are not flexible enough for this just yet, then just place your hands down on the ground, maybe even on a block. Just try to keep your spine nice and long. So wherever you are, breathe deep into this pose. Make sure it feels good for your body. Those who want to go a step further, you can interlace your fingertips behind your spine and allow them to fall up and over your head for a double whammy. An inner thigh stretch as well as the shoulders. and release. Everybody take your hands to your hips. Slowly use the power of your legs to raise parallel to the ground. And we're going to start to bend and straighten into each side of the legs. So bend over towards the left, stretching the right. And then bend to the right, straightening the left and stretching the left. Just continue moving like this just for a moment, a couple of times each side. And from here, from our wide-legged forward fold, we're going to start to walk our hands towards the left foot, and we're going to continuously walk so that our legs become a crossed position in front of us. We're going to draw our knees down to the ground, and already you'll be in a position just like this, so your knees are together and your heels are open. Beginners, place a block underneath your bum here. Those who can, then sit all the way down to the ground for our Gomukhasana cow face pose. Your heels should be wider than your hips, so you've got space to sit. If that's impossible, just raise the hips. From here, there's a couple of variations we can do with the arms. This is already intense in the glutes and in the hip flexors, so just sit and breathe into it. You can just stay here, or you can join me with arms. We're going to bend the right arm behind our head, and we can try to take a grip of the right fingertips with the left fingertips. If this is just physically impossible, then that's okay. You can just use the left hand to draw that right elbow a little further back behind you, getting a stretch into the tricep here on the right. But if you can get the full expression of the pose, then that's great. You'll be hitting the front of the left shoulder as well as the tricep on the right. You can also use a towel or a piece of clothing or anything to try to draw your left hand a little higher up towards your right. Now that you're in this pose, close your eyes, taking some deep breaths together. On every exhale, try to relax the face, relax all the muscles, allowing the body to open up for you. And now let's slowly release the hands and take a twist. So take this right arm to the left knee and twist looking behind you. This is going to push that top leg a little further across, making that glute stretch a little more intense, perhaps even into your hip flexors. So if this is too much, just stay facing forwards, that's okay. Make the flow your own. And slowly, slowly release. Because we came into the twist, twisting towards the left, we're now going to start to twist towards the right to come back out. So place your hands either side of your body, either side of the legs, and we're going to start to lift up, twisting towards the right, nice and slow. Coming towards the right heel this time, so we're back in our wide-legged forward fold. Coming back towards the right leg, we're continuously twisting so that your legs are now just like this. And then we're going to bring our knees down to the ground. Beginners, remember you can always prop your hips up onto some blocks or a nice thick cushion. Find some comfort, open the feet out if you need to. And then it's your choice with the arms. You can rest your hands on your knee, or we're going to take this left arm, bend it, You can always just use the right to draw that elbow a little further back for a deeper stretch. Or we're going to take our right arm behind us, perhaps interlacing the fingertips or taking a grip of our clothing. Wherever you are, close your eyes. Let's take some deep breaths together. Slowly release your arms. We're going to take that twist if it feels comfortable, or skip the twist altogether. Taking our left arm to our right leg, take a look behind you. Slowly, slowly come out of your twist. We're going to come on forward so that we're on our knees, and we're going to release the legs. We're going to take staggered legs so that we come into deer pose. So this is a variation that's a little different to pigeon, but it's very accessible to most bodies, so I hope you enjoy it. Let's take the shin of the leg, of the front leg, in line with the mat. And the knee will be slightly open, slightly wider than your actual hip, but almost like at a 90-degree angle. And then take a look at your back leg. Keep the hip and the knee in line with each other. And the same with the foot and the knee. You want it to be a 90-degree angle, so we're almost in a nice staggered position, just like this. And we're going to play around with where we feel the most sensation. So come on forward, over the front leg, and start to press this hip, so this right hip, down towards the ground. You should feel a stretch into the hip flexors here on the right. If you're not feeling too much, then start to walk your fingertips towards this left glute, towards your left bum, and press the hip down. So wherever you feel the most sensation, just stay there and breathe into the pose, taking some nice deep breaths. Hug your belly button back, continue to press that right hip bone down. Okay, let's play around and start to walk to the opposite foot, so the back foot, keeping the hips pressing down once again, and see where you feel your sensations. Maybe take a grip of each foot, pull yourself a little more towards the right. You might feel a little more stretch now into this front hip, into the front hip flexor. Taking a couple of deep breaths. And slowly come on up. Raise your legs to the center so that you've got your knees bent. We're going to take a shoulder stretch. Take your hands behind you, at least a good hand's distance away from your bum, with your fingertips facing towards your heels. Beginners, press your chest forwards, look up, bend your elbows. This may be enough of a stretch. For those who want something a little more, then you can come into a reverse tabletop. Send your hips to the sky, squeeze your glutes to lift you a little higher. Rest your head back. If you're in reverse tabletop, slowly, slowly draw your bum to the ground, lift your head last. Coming back into our deer pose with the opposite leg in front. So this time we're going to have the right leg in front, shin in line with your mat. Your knee may be a little wider than your hip, that's okay. And take a look at the back hip. Keep the knee in line with the hip if possible, and then the same thing with the knee and the ankle. So you want to be at this nice staggered position, a bit like this. And then our feet, we want to engage them. So we're going to engage the foot with the toes facing forwards. Okay, let's find that lovely stretch, whatever works for your body. Pressing this left hip bone down towards the ground. Just come on over the front of this right leg. Perhaps even just start off straight forwards. You can play around with coming a little lower down until you feel a stretch. You might even find that one side was much more intense than the other, and that's completely normal. If you're not feeling very much here, you can always play around with twisting a little more behind you so that you're almost sending this left hip a little further forwards, getting a little deeper into those hip flexors. So play around. When you find a really good spot that feels like, oh yeah, that's a good stretch, I got one there, then breathe it out. Take nice deep breaths with me. And as always, try to keep your spine nice and long so that we're sending that stretch into the right area of the body. Slowly, slowly start to walk your hands to the opposite side. Maybe take a grip of both feet and see how this feels, getting a stretch more into this right side this time. But everybody's going to feel it a little different. It just totally depends on where your tension is, where your problem areas lie. So feel it out. Even if it means going into a totally different position to what I'm in, that's okay. This class, you can make it your own. Make it suit your body. Taking some more deep breaths together. Okay, slowly come on out of it. Let's take our knees back to the center, facing up towards the sky, feet hip distance, and we're going to roll all the way down onto our spines. Once you're there, we're going to have two very different poses depending on your level. Beginners, I recommend you take bridge pose, so knees in line with hips, touch your heels, send your hips up to the sky and squeeze your glutes. Everybody can join for the first round, And then we're going to take it into something more intense for the intermediate to advanced yogis. Hug your belly button back, squeeze those glutes, lift a little higher if you can. And then very, very slowly roll all the way down to your spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, enjoying that moment, the journey of getting all the way back down to the mat. Beginners, raise back up into your bridge pose. Take your time. Intermediate to advanced yogis, join me for wheel pose if you would like to. Place your hands just behind your shoulders. Raise your elbows to the sky, and we're going to lift our hips all the way up, stretching through the whole front of the body into the hips. You need nice open shoulders for this. Have a gentle squeeze of your glutes, hug your belly back. Everybody, wherever you are, a couple more breaths. If you're in wheel, slowly draw your head, your crown down to the ground. And come on all the way down. Those who are in bridge, vertebrae by vertebrae. Once you get there, draw your knees to your armpits. And just find a rock from side to side. You can take this into a happy baby, arms inside edges of the legs. Take a grip of the shins or the outside edges of the feet. Hug your belly button back and maybe find a rock from side to side, if that feels nice. Taking the time to listen to your body. Perhaps you feel, a little looser now. From here, we're all going to slowly lower our feet down to the ground, coming into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Take your feet slightly wider than your hips, your hands a few inches away from your body. Tuck your shoulder blades underneath you, face facing the sky. We're going to take this moment together to be completely present and to let go of our thoughts. Trying to bring awareness to the fact that this present moment is all that truly exists. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow, or even 5 minutes from now, has not yet come to fruition, so it doesn't exist. Relax all the muscles in your face and in your whole body. I'll be here with you just for a couple of minutes of complete silence. But you can stay and enjoy for as long as you like. Those of you that would like to stay in Shavasana, just be where you are. If you'd like to end your class with me, wiggle your fingertips and your toes to bring that aliveness back into your limbs. And then we're going to rotate the ankles and the wrists in one direction. And then in the other. Take your time. Take a big stretch over your head as if you're waking up first thing in the morning. And then slowly move onto the side of your body. Take your time. Keep your eyes closed here. Start to draw yourself up into a comfortable seat with your eyes closed, just taking a little longer here. Sit up tall through the spine. We're going to bring our hands to our heart center in prayer. Rub them together, creating a warm friction. We're going to place them over our eyes and take a moment to say a quote to yourself, or even one word, an affirmation that you can take with you throughout today. It could be as simple as, "This too shall pass," in moments when you feel stressed. Or, "I am peace." Whatever it is, repeat it to yourself now. And then slowly move your hands away from your eyes. You can open your eyes. Namaste, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to create these flows for you. It really is such a wonderful thing to do, and I'm very grateful for each and every one of you. I would love to hear how this class left you feeling, so do let me know in the comments. I really hope it helped to loosen you up. If there's any postures that you guys would like help with, because I really enjoy creating shorts for you, then do let me know in the comments as well. If there was something today that was too challenging or just inaccessible, or maybe you didn't understand it, I could break it down for you in my next short or one of my shorts coming up. So do let me know. Until our next class, sending you all lots of love and light.